Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. We're here on location at the Oxford Academy in Westbrook. And with me tonight is Zack Hayden, who is an educator here at Westbrook at the Oxford Academy. Sir, welcome.
Thank you, Pete.
How are you?
Glad to be here. I'm great.
Good to see you.
Glad to be here. Good to see you too.
It's been a while.
Has been a little while, and then we'll run into each other again. But yeah,
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your background with the Oxford Academy.
Well, I came to Oxford I'd been teaching in public school system in Washington, D.C., and kind of an alternative school down there for DC students. And my family's from Vermont, New England. My wife's family's from Connecticut, so we wanted to kind of move back up to this area.
Right.
And heard about an opening here, and I took a position here for 1 year while I figured out what public school I wanted to kind of transition to in the area. And that was 22 years ago. So, I that 1 year stint turned into 22 years, and I've enjoyed it. It's a really unique, special place. I didn't know schools like this existed. So Here I am still 22 years later. And I started out as a history teacher here, transitioned an English teacher, and then took on some administrative duties. So here I am.
And you still teach?
Yep, I still teach. Yeah, so I'm an administrator. I'm the only one who actually still teaches. So I'm the dean of faculty here, but I'm an English teacher and really spend more of my day teaching than kind of taking care of the dean of faculty duties. And it's fun to be able to still stay in the classroom while I'm working with the teachers at the same time.
So as dean of faculty, what do you do?
So dean of faculty, one of the more kind of intense parts of the job is trying to find new teachers when somebody's retired or moved on to a different position. Which, generally happens near the end of the school year, leading into, as you're leading up to the next school year. We're fortunate that we don't have a lot of turnover here, or else it'd be a little more stressful than it has been. But it's always a difficult thing when we go through that, because it is such a kind of small, tight-knit community here that you want to find somebody who kind of fits in with the students and fits in with the colleagues in terms of other teachers. So it really takes the right kind of person. So that's one part of it. I also orient new teachers, talk about how we do teaching here at Oxford. And then I'm responsible for overseeing the kind of evaluation process of teachers, classroom observations, giving teachers feedback on how they're developing. And then I work very closely with the Dean of Studies, Jude Maragliano. Mm-hmm. And we are he's sort of in charge of the academic program, and I do a lot to kind of help support him in that. We co-chair the academic committee, which is the Dean of Studies, the Dean of Faculty, and then the department chair for every department. So that group kind of makes a lot of decisions about curriculum, how we do grading, stuff like that.
Now, how many department heads do you have?
We have arts, social studies, foreign language, English, mathematics, science, and what am I forgetting? 6 or 7. I feel like I'm forgetting something now that I go through that quickly. But yeah. Yep.
Wow. Now, what's a tip? And I asked Phil this question. What's a typical day like here at Oxford?
For you being a teacher, what's
okay? So for a teacher, it's it starts 7:45, where we all have announcements in the student center, in the study hall. Yeah. Every student has a kind of carol in there, and all the teachers and kids, ideally all the kids, some of them are a little slow to wake up, all get in there. Right. And we share kind of announcements for the day, what's happening, like you would have had in public school over the PA system, sure. Right? But here we're just all in a room talking to each other. So we start with that, and then students go kind of to morning mindfulness if they want. That's like just a little quick 5-minute meditation run by our school clinician with a couple other teachers who are kind of passionate about kind of centering their mind before the day starts. Okay. And then if you're like me, I'm not good at morning mindfulness. No. I tend to kind of sit in there going through kind of a list in my head of what I need to get done. So It's sort of the opposite of being mindful. So I just go in my office and start working on my list most of the time.
Right.
And you have a few minutes before class starts. So then, you have class starting at 8:05, and then there's 20 classes in a day. So that sounds crazy compared to a typical schedule, but each of those classes is 20 minutes. So So as a teacher,
okay.
you're sitting with the one kid,
Right.
you're talking for 20 minutes, going over their homework. Okay, now we need to work on this concept, and this is what we're going to do next, and here's how we should start your next thing. And then the student, after that 20 minutes, when you're working with one student, you can get through a lot.
Yeah.
And the student goes off, and they usually have 40 minutes to an hour before their next class to kind of continue what you started them with.
Okay.
And the next is the teacher. Next student comes in, you kind of keep doing that.
Right.
So you have 10 to 12 periods where you're teaching in a school day of those 20 periods. The other periods, you're maybe doing a little extra work with a kid, or meeting with your department to talk about department stuff, or you might be proctoring the study hall space where the students are going. That's where they go back to their carrel to kind of do the work from class.
Okay.
And we take turns kind of walking around in there, helping people stay on task, answering questions, just kind of being a guiding presence in the study hall space so it stays nice and quiet and productive.
Now, when you're teaching a class and being a student, do you use like laptops or books?
Yeah, we do. We use Chromebooks a lot, like a lot of schools are right now. You know, we're and yeah, every student has a kind of online assignment spreadsheet kind of that is just theirs, and as teachers, we input part of what goes in there every day, and the students are responsible for recording what their assignment description is. Like, I have to read these pages and write this kind of essay.
Okay.
Yeah, at the end of each class is kind of how we end. And then the students can check that all throughout the day to kind of see, did I do this one yet? And they can also see their grades in there. So that same space,
Really?
grades go in there every day,
cool.
like kind of a daily grade for how their homework was, a daily grade for how their class participation was, because that's a big part of it, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you're sitting in a class with just the two of you,
Right.
if I was just the teacher talking for 20 minutes, that's not a great class for anybody.
No.
So if the student is really kind of a partner and collaborator in the class, which is where we want everybody to get at Oxford,
Yes.
then there's a lot of back and forth.
Right.
And so I think rewarding students for that engagement, for participating in the class discussion is an important thing that we do here, and we do it every day. So every day a kid knows what their sort of HOS participation mark was and what their homework mark was, so they get that feedback right after class. So there's a lot of feedback at Oxford.
And I'm assuming it's like a Google Classroom type.
It's like that, yeah. We've built our own kind of spreadsheet that's
Right.
different than Classroom, but yeah, similar
Sort of like
idea to that. We do use Google Classroom with some of our group classes.
Okay.
So we do have some, when kids become seniors here, they're in more group courses so that they're preparing for college where they're going to go back into kind of a big typical classroom. So in those larger group classes here that aren't one-to-one, we do Google Classroom more.
Now, what is a group classroom?
So we have a couple larger spaces. We have an innovation lab where there's a lot of kind of STEM kind of classes. You know what I mean by that, right? So there's a teacher here who does more robotics, coding, and he does group classes in there.
Cool.
Right now there's a group class running for seniors that's personal finance and business. So that teacher's meeting with 7 or 8 kids, which is large for Oxford.
Yes.
At a time, and they're like, he gave, they all have $1,000 to invest in the stock market of fake money, right? And they're comparing their portfolios, and some of them are teaming up to work on investment strategies and money management, and then they're doing simple like personal budgeting stuff too. But yeah, that class is happening right now for the next few weeks, and then they switch to a different group class.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, so it's mostly one-on-one, like you and I here, but we do have a lot of group classes too, because we know that kids need to remember kind of the classroom dynamic and what that experience is like before they're going off to college.
And like Phil and I were talking earlier that you guys are an all-boys school.
Yeah.
There's very few females on campus.
Yeah, well, did he tell you about the summer session?
He did.
So that's where it's different, because then it's almost half and half.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. During the regular school year, aside from teachers, there's maybe slightly fewer than 50% of our teachers are female.
Okay.
And then there's a couple of the dorm parents who are female dorm parents.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. In terms of students, all boys for the regular school year.
Now, let's talk about a dorm parent. What is?
Yeah, dorm parent does a little bit of everything. It is probably the hardest role here. And it's something I did for 6 or 7 years when I started here, yeah.
Wow.
And it is, you are sharing the responsibility for one of our 2 dorms here with 2 other faculty members. Now, dorm parents are also teachers. Every dorm parent here is also a teacher. So, but every 3rd day after you've taught a full school day, you are then kind of helping make sure that the campus is running smoothly from 3 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night, basically. Frequently as a dorm parent, I wasn't falling asleep till after midnight. So you're up making sure the kids are falling asleep,
Exactly.
making sure everybody's, doing what they're supposed to be doing.
You're making sure that they're asleep and they're not up at midnight.
Right, and they're behaving, they're getting along with their roommates. Do they need anything? You, as a dorm parent, you're proctoring an evening study hall where kids can study in their rooms or do something quiet. It doesn't have to be studying. But yeah, so dorm parents are doing that on a weekday, and then on weekends, every 3rd weekend, they're leading trips. We had kids going rock climbing. We had kids going to playing paintball yesterday. So yeah. So they're they went to New York City last weekend, I think, or 2 weekends ago. So dorm parents lead a lot of those excursions. They are busy, creative, patient people who have to be kind of a parent and a mentor and a friend sometimes, and sort of an authority figure. So they wear a lot of hats all at once in that role.
And I'm assuming, and Phil and I talked about dress code. No, he was telling me a bunch of years ago they had to be in jacket and tie, the students.
And teachers, so they're all up at dinner right now, right? So they would all be up there in jacket and tie right now, complaining about their ties.
Of course.
But now they can be in what I'm wearing, right? So this is like our little athletic logo, and then we have a different kind of more academic seal.
The seal I believe Phil had on.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's probably right.
Okay.
The dress code change was something that was a long time coming, but I think it's been embraced by faculty and the students alike. It's just a little, it's one less battle to fight, and everybody still looks presentable and nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And as far as I'm concerned, you guys are the best kept secret on the shoreline, because I never knew you were here until.
Yeah, it's funny how many people drive by or eat at Cafe Roudier and are more like, what is that place back there? And don't really know what we do here. And even among schools, we're sort of, I think, a hidden gem because we're small. In Westbrook, I think we do try and do a lot within the community, but and a lot of people in town who have kids who play in soccer leagues and little league spend time in the gym and on the fields, but they don't necessarily know what the school really does and how we work with the students who are here.
Now, you and I talked about before we got taping tonight, the wonderful food and the breakfast sandwiches by Chef David. Tell me about Chef David.
Yeah, well, Chef Dave, he's a legend on campus. In fact, when alumni come back who graduated 20 years ago, one of the first things they ask is Chef Dave still here? And does he still do breakfast to order? So just when Oxford was founded in 1906, the idea was every kid is going to learn in the way that's best for them.
Right.
And their curriculum is going to be individualized, custom made, based on what their goals are, what they're good at, what they want to achieve. Chef Dave's breakfast is within that tradition. You can go in there in the morning and write down, this is what I want. I want an omelet with this kind of cheese, these vegetables, and with 3 pancakes on the side. And he makes it all custom to order, just like the teaching that happens here. So,
really?
Yeah, that's a feature that the alumni never forget. That they might forget.
Cool.
They might forget what they learned in English class with me, but they did not forget Chef Dave's breakfast.
What Chef Dave?
Yeah.
And how long's he been here?
Over 25 years. I don't think quite 30 yet, but he's probably getting close. And he gets to know the kids so well that he has their breakfast made for them frequently before they come in for breakfast. because he knows they're going to order this every day.
Yeah, right.
And so, they'll walk in and there's their stack of pancakes made just the way they've been ordering it all year or whatever. So it's, yep, he's a special part of the campus.
I'm sure he does the same things for the staff.
He does, yep. I don't always make it a breakfast here, but for those who do, yeah frequently
right.
it's already made before they pull in the driveway.
There you go. And you guys run academically with the school system schedule here in Westbrook, correct?
We do for the most part because we have a lot of the teachers here have kids in the school system. I have a son who's a senior at Westbrook. Phil has a couple of kids who are freshmen. So we want the calendars to kind of match so that when they're on vacation, we get to spend some time with them on vacation too.
Right.
But one thing that's different is all those Monday holidays that public schools have, we're still teaching because the kids live here.
Right.
So it's not a long enough break for them to travel back to California or back to Rwanda or wherever they may be coming from. So we have longer, like, holiday breaks for those big breaks, but we don't have any of the 3-day weekends or anything like that.
I believe you got a big break coming up in a couple days.
Yep. Thursdays, the students leave in the afternoon. The excitement is already building. I think I think it's a little bit harder for some of the kids to focus, but and maybe the teachers too. I think it's a long stretch from September to now without any breaks because a lot of kids haven't been home at all, and so they're excited to get home. Yep.
Where are some of the countries that some of the kids come from?
We have students from the Democratic Republic of Congo, from Rwanda, from let's see, sometimes students from China. I don't think we have anyone from China this year. Saudi Arabia, traditionally, we've had students from. None this year, though. France, Italy. So I'm just thinking of, like, during my time here. And then all over the U.S., too. I think we have a student from Canada. That's another country.
Okay.
But, it's usually 20 to 30% of our students are international.
That's neat.
Yeah, it is fun. When you think about it, if you wanted to learn English, when you come to Oxford, if you're in a classroom with with just the teacher, you're speaking the whole time. So kids who come here, and if that's one of their goals, they really learn English very effectively and quickly, because even math class is an English class, because they're the only kid in there, so they're communicating, they're practicing their English. So that's one of the reasons we've all had a lot of international students.
Now, you teach here.
Yep.
What do you teach?
So I teach English. I tend to teach, we all English teachers here really will teach kids in any grades.
Okay.
I do tend to teach more of the 11th and 12th graders. I teach AP Language and Composition and AP Lit Composition.
Really?
So if there's students interested in those AP courses, which there aren't always, I do those, and those tend to be more juniors and seniors. And I also teach a senior seminar course for writing and rhetoric that I've done for almost 20 years now. And I co-teach that with another teacher, and that's for seniors as well, to get them ready for college. Yeah.
And what I find interesting is your classes are one-on-one. Like you and I are sitting here right now having a conversation. This would be you teaching.
Yeah, you're doing really well. You're going to get a high participation grade today.
But I'm not getting homework.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Your homework is editing this video.
Yes, exactly.
This is the classroom kind of dynamic exactly. So there'd be a desk here, and you'd be showing me your homework, and but we'd be talking a lot about maybe what you were interested in learning next. Like if we finish this one thing, and we'd be going over options, and that's what's different. Is you as a student would have a lot of kind of agency and control over some of the content we do. Me as the teacher would have a lot of control over sort of the skills that we are working on by pursuing the kind of content choices you picked, because I'm sort of the expert on skill development, but I do want to nurture your engagement and include your interests and what you want to learn about as we work on those skills.
Now, as far as the grading process goes, you said that the kids get, when they go in at the end of the day, they can see the grades that they earned for that day.
Yeah.
And that's every class?
Every class, yeah. I mean, I think And we've looked at, we really try and not make the emphasis on grades here. We're really about growth and really kind of encourage a growth mindset in all our students. But we do want to give them a lot of feedbacks, and we just let them know that like those numbers and those marks are kind of a part of the process, and we're always happy to talk about exactly why they earned what they earned and how they could earn different things if they want to. But we do really put the importance on kind of growth, not, that number doesn't define you. What defines you is how much you're improving.
Exactly. And I'm sure some students have improved tremendously.
Yeah, yep. And one of the ways they hear that is, so I don't know if Phil talked about this at all, but every week here, students get a written comment from all their teachers. So
We didn't talk about that.
every teacher gets a paragraph, every student gets a paragraph from each of their teachers every week. Talks about how the week went, what was accomplished, what's going to be worked on next, what went well, what didn't, and the parents get that too. So that goes out in an email to the parents and the kids, and then advisors. So I have kids I advise.
Yeah.
I sit down with my 2 kids. We go over that each week. So there's just, as I said before, there's a lot of feedback here at Oxford because we want families and kids to kind of know where they stand, where they're going, how far they've come, and we want the kids to be able to ask questions and share ideas about any of that feedback. So they're included in kind of that feedback loop that we try and keep really frequent and strong.
Now, as far as recruitment goes, what's the process if you want to be a member of the Oxford Academy organization?
Now, on the adult side?
Sure. We'll do both.
Okay. I'm probably the point of contact for educators,
Right.
and Phil would be the point of contact for people who are interested in kind of other staff positions. But yeah, there's we post on Indeed, we post on the National Association of Independent Schools, and we post on our website when we have openings. But also people can always just reach out to me if they think they're interested, because we do for dorm parents. Those people tend to be people who are younger and maybe come from further away.
Right.
But for our day faculty, a lot of them are people who just happen to live nearby and heard about Oxford through a friend. And some of them are people who've retired, and it's sort of their retirement gig, because they come here and they teach math during the day or English because that's something they did before, or that's something they have some expertise in. So yeah, we've always had a lot of our day faculty from the local community.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you have faculty that just comes in during the day and...
Yep. Yeah.
Teaches?
Yeah, which is what I am now.
Right.
I mean, other than my administrator role as a teacher, I'm just a day teacher. I don't oversee the evenings here, and I don't coach sports anymore.
No. So you just go home at night.
I do, except for tonight. Here I am.
Right.
No.
Except for tonight. Here you
No,
are.
but yeah. There's always little extra things, but yep. And then as a student, Phil probably talked a little bit about how that works in terms of students finding Oxford and educational consultants and some of that. Yeah. Okay.
And as far as financially goes, you guys are privately funded because you're a 501.
Yep, we're a nonprofit, and for the most part, parents are paying the tuition to come to Oxford. But in some cases, there's financial aid, or there's
grants.
there's grants, or there's funding from public school systems. Some students are here being paid for by their public school system because it was determined that this is the right placement for them. Like they need the kind of services and the kind of education we provide here, so here they are, and their school system is paying for them to come here.
Really?
In some cases, yeah.
Wow.
That's not the most common way, but yeah.
No, that's interesting. And you guys are all boys. Phil and I talked about that.
Yep, all boys, have been since 1906.
Okay.
And that, I think that's kind of, I think you mentioned earlier, there's not a lot of schools that do that anymore.
Right.
But there's a lot of reasons that has kind of been a benefit at Oxford. One, we're small anyway. We don't necessarily have room to add in another population of students. But
No.
two, it can help people maybe be a little more focused. It can help people be less self-conscious in some ways when it is just kind of a single-sex school. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then if you guys went co-ed, you'd have to build another dorm.
We just built another dorm. We have enough building projects that we want to accomplish.
Trust me, Phil and I talked about.
Oh, did you? Good.
I
Yeah.
talked about the building projects, what you guys want to do, but maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're working, I know the music studio and kind of having more music and performing arts is something that we've wanted to have for a while. And yeah, there's been a lot of interest in helping build this music studio. We have a lot of students here now who are really passionate about music. And we've always found ways to kind of encourage that passion, but having a space dedicated just to that is a great next step for Oxford as we continue to kind of grow and develop. And did you talk about the maritime program at all too? I hope so.
Yeah, but let's talk about it because we got
Okay. Well, I mean, here we are on the shoreline, right,
Yep.
of Westbrook, and so we want to take advantage of that and get the kids out in boats more, have them learn more about kind of marine life, maritime history, how to deal with managing a boat and getting their boating licenses and certifications, swimming, water safety. So we want to try and maximize the sort of potential of this location. And I think there's a lot of opportunities there that we can still take advantage of. We try and do a lot, but there's more to do.
And we also talked about the turf field that you guys want to.
Yeah, I mean, I love our grass soccer field, but I know there's a lot of interest in turf fields. And that's one way we can invite more people onto our campus to kind of use the facilities who aren't Oxford people. Soccer clubs and travel teams and stuff like that could come and use these spaces more.
Now, the facilities, like the soccer field, are they open to the public or?
You can arrange to use them. You can arrange to rent them. So they can be open, but I mean, if we have them being used by our kids for that season, then they're not
that's not
available.
gonna happen.
Yeah, right. But in the summertime, there's a lot, and in certain seasons, there's a lot of use of them by outside organizations.
And if people want more information on the Oxford Academy, where are they going?
www.oxfordacademy.net, or they can set up an appointment to come by and visit. We'd be happy to give you a tour, say hello, show you around, tell you more about what we do.
Zack from the Oxford Academy. Thanks for some time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Pete. It's been a pleasure.
Zack.
On behalf of Zack, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks, good night. We'll see you next week.